Hi. It has been such a long time since I've done one of these. Erin Zen Warrior is starting her YouTube channel back up, and it's going to be changing its name. So keep an eye on the name change. 2 Cents of Zen is coming to you very soon. And that is going to include, very excitingly, a podcast that we've been filming surrounding integrating human design and my other work into everything we do here. But just to get my feet wet, I thought I'd jump on with this topic because it's one that's been rattling around inside of my head. So to those of you who used to watch me or have been keeping up with my videos or have watched quite a few, hello and welcome back. High value men and high value women. I've got to say, this is one of these areas where I just can't even believe sometimes the shit people talk about. Like, honestly, that is just, I'm like, are we really measuring people still? Like, are we still doing this? Have we not learned anything yet? That everybody is having their own time here, sorting themselves out. Everyone's going through their process. Judging that process judgmentally is generally not something we should be doing. It's pretty much why children are traumatized in part, is that they feel judged. The breakdown of relationship. So I kind of delved into this one because, you know, we all hear people like Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson, or you might even hear of some of the older gurus like Tony Robbins talk about what a high value person is. And what came across was that there were a few things that were coherent between everyone. But what came across that was clear was that no one had an exact answer. Everyone wants to talk about this high value something or rather, a high value man or a high value woman. And what everyone seemed to agree on is that in order to get a high value man, you had to be a high value woman. In order to be a high value woman, to get a high value woman, you had to be a high value man. It was like, okay, but what is a high value man? By someone like Jordan Peterson, what really came through with his high value man appraisal was it was down to speech. And coming from someone who, and I say this from a human design perspective, someone who's a manifestor, who has the power of speech, and he's a very, very articulate man. He's also quite perfectionistic in his own way. Like, he's very particular. I found it kind of amusing in a way that he'd pick the one thing that he's actually very good at himself, you know? So clearly rates himself as a high value man. Now, as a medical intuitive and someone who works with chronic disease, I find that people who rate themselves as high value generally don't have chronic diseases where the only thing that they can eat is animal, right? Usually they can eat a plethora of a diet. But in saying that, it is an interesting time where the digestive system is, and the whole system is going through so much in the world that we're now in, with everything that's going on in the background. Let's set that aside and just say it's really interesting that his high value trait, the utmost top everything, if you listen around, he will say it again and again, is the ability to articulate yourself and honesty. Now, I love the honesty ideal, but I find that people lie to themselves all the time and they don't mean to. So honesty in the sense that I know what I'm saying is the truth as far as I understand, or honesty in the fact that, like, I am a divinely authentic being who is absolutely so clear about myself, I'm fully enlightened. I can tell you Jordan Peterson is not a fully enlightened man. So I've met many gurus in my time, and whilst I love to listen to Jordan Peterson and he's a fascinating man, I see a lot of misery, and I don't see a divinely enlightened man. You know, I see someone like the rest of us. So honest to what extent? You know, where do you draw the line at what high value is? Then you've got the likes of Andrew Tate. Now, one clip I found, and it was a short clip, but I listened to a few other things as well. His qualities that he attributes to the high value man, quite different to the high value woman, by the way. But the high value man was basically that he's worth something in a material sense. Now, Andrew Tate's, I think he's a 3-5 from memory. It would make absolute sense that he's a 3-5. His focus in life is in the material. So it is no surprise. And he's got nice cars. You know, like, he's articulate. He's he's successful, he's this, he's that. Now, when he was asked about women, basically hot was high value woman. You've got to be attractive. The next thing down was nice as a bonus. And then one of the discussion with was over loyalty. And loyalty from a woman, he was like, it's the most disgusting thing for a woman to be disloyal. Every man will agree. And I was like, it's a very aggressive word, a very judgmental word. To call something disgusting is to shame it, you know. And so I'm assuming here that a woman that cheats on her man is the implication from Andrew Tate, you know, and possibly a woman that goes behind his back in any way would be disloyal, right? Now, I think we can all agree we don't want disloyal people in our lives. But I also know from working with people for many years that there are a lot of reasons that people step outside of their marriage and their relationship that they wouldn't ordinarily do if they were not being gaslit, not being abused, not trying to get away on some level, not trying to create some space for themselves. And perhaps it's not the best way to go about it. But I don't stand in judgment. And I certainly don't consider those people less because they A, made a mistake, or B, were doing their damnedest to survive in something that was difficult. So I would suggest relationship is not easy, and that the concept that you're going to judge someone for their looks and their loyalty as to whether they're high value or not, well, that's amusing. And then the value of a man is only what he can provide, essentially. But then you listen to Andrew talk about loyalty for men. I wish I had it written closer, but he put down that like loyalty, the loyalty of a woman and the loyalty of a man are different things, because men and women are different, you know. And of course, the woman who was interviewing him was like, I don't think loyalty is subject to sex and gender, you know, so which I would happen to agree with. But still, this concept of high value man and high value woman, just like, we can't seem to quite get it narrowed down. There does seem to be this theme, though, that comes through about honesty, right? Integrity. And then when you listen to someone like Tony Robbins, now I managed to bump into a full 1 hour long thing about a person being, and I actually listened to his one about what was a high value woman. And it was a woman who didn't compromise her values, what she wanted, her dreams and desires, a woman who could be resolute and strong in what she was doing here on this planet. Essentially, he was, to me, in my experience, talking about someone who knew what she was about and wasn't willing to compromise with people telling her that should be something else. That was a strong thing that came across in his. Was a strong woman, and that strength was defined by her not giving up what she was here to do. Now, I still don't think that that's a high value woman, but I think in the context in which he was talking about it, he wasn't talking about you being a high value woman so you could attract a high value man. He was talking about you being a high value woman for yourself as a woman. And I think that's a different conversation. But I actually think that if you want to attract someone that is loyal, for example, you have to be loyal. You have to vibrate at the frequency that you want to attract. That's the law of attraction at the end of the day. If you want someone who looks after themselves, you're going to have to look after yourself. If you want someone who is great in the 3D world and has money and is a provider, you on some level are going to have to be great in that 3D world to vibrate at the same frequency. But in what way? What, have a great job? I mean, there are plenty of people out there who are like power couples who never see each other. Do you think they have a good relationship? Is it a high value woman to you or a high value man to you if you never see them and then you end up needing to find somebody else? Or finding someone else because you've got kind of a gap in your life that you desire to fill that isn't being filled by your partner? I mean, then there's a discussion about whether you should be in monogamy or not. Does that make you a high value person because you want to have more than one partner? According to Andrew Tate, no. You know, according to a lot of people, no. A lot of people talking about high value are people who are ultimately looking for someone who will be monogamous with them, whether they're going to be monogamous back. And again, I go back to Andrew Tate's sort of stuff here. And I would also suggest that the danger of someone like Andrew Tate is that a lot of men look up to him. Same with someone like Jordan Peterson. He can be dangerous because people look up to him. And he can be dangerous for a different reason that Andrew Tate is dangerous. Andrew Tate is suggesting that if you're a man with money, success, etc., that you're high value, and essentially if you're not as loyal as the woman, she gives loyalty and looks. Well, I hate to break it to you, Andrew, but we're all going to lose our looks one day. We're all going to get old. So because I'm old, am I no longer of value? Am I no longer high? I mean, what are these fucking people talking about? And all on it, like, I'm just like, what are you talking about? High value this and high value that. It's kind of gross, don't you think? So I thought this whole topic was really amusing because it also ignores on a spiritual level that we are all here to develop and evolve, to develop and evolve our honesty and integrity within ourselves, within our own lives on a spiritual level, to learn where we're actually lying to ourselves, to see ourselves clearly, to become enlightened. And so this concept to me of the high value, I was just like, every time I hear it, I'm like, I want to punch my own head. I'm like, oh, really? What are you guys talking about? As if human beings have different values. Now, you may disagree with me, but where I come from is that your value as a human is actually from the fifth dimensional world. You're a fifth dimensional incarnation, into the meat. You're a fifth dimensional God, basically, that has come here to experience and create and learn and go through the rough bits in life and learn what it is to sell out and learn not to sell out and to learn all of those things. And along the way, it doesn't make you any less because you made a mistake or because you went through a learning process of deciding what was for you or wasn't. And I'm not determining what those mistakes actually are. That's for you to determine. That's for you to understand what works for you and what doesn't. And everybody is, quite frankly, so uniquely different in their mechanism that what works for some people doesn't work for others. And this idea of what's going to make you valuable, I mean, are you not valuable because you're a highly intelligent woman with great integrity who's climbed to the top of her fields? Are you not high value then because you're not attractive? I'm like, by societal rubbishy standards that change. I mean, once upon a time you needed to be curvy, then you needed to be thin. Now everybody needs a big ass, big lips, thin lips. Like all of this crap changes all the time. How do you keep up? Like Sadiq Khan basically said that a high value man is someone who can attain a high value woman. And then she starts talking about strippers as being low value. Now, I'm just going to make a suggestion here that from the looks of things, and I could be totally wrong, and if she ever sees this, she can correct me. She looks pumped full of Botox to me. Is a high value person someone who doesn't want to be and look the way they were born to be and look? I don't know, is actually the question. Does that make them less valuable? I would still say that irrespective of how she's treating herself and the frequency that she's at, and yeah, I think that this is a function of the not self to do this to yourself. How can you not see that you're so much more valuable than a pair of lips that are going to rot away one day anyway? But she sits there and talks about strippers. And I'm only picking on the Botox and stuff in this case because it's like, where's the line of value? If you don't value yourself, how valuable are you? But I would still suggest that your value is not based on a body. Your value is based on we are all source. We are all gods. And all you have to do is realize that. And the more you come into that and the more your life is going to line up. And then you're going to find that the right lovers come to you, not because they're deemed high value by this idiot or that idiot, right? But because they value themselves, full stop. And that's sort of where Tony Robbins was going with this when he was talking about high value women, except for the fact that he always gets caught up in achieving stuff. I think, again, he's another 3-5, so that profile is very involved in the material, you know? And so they start going, oh, your success. There are other bits and pieces in there where he doesn't talk about achievement, but then he flips back to achievement because his whole life has been about achieving. I'm going to achieve something. My whole life has been about letting go of the idea that I have to achieve something to be valuable. And as a result, I value myself. And I don't care if you don't. And as a result, there is great recognition in my life and people who really value me. And I feel valued. But I don't feel less valued because one of them tomorrow doesn't want to be in my life anymore. I feel as valued all the time and overflowing with abundance of value because I value myself. So this high value shit, it's so dangerous because nobody seems to know really what it is. It risks the idea that we're going to value people based on their looks, their success, their 3D stuff, which, by the way, remember what happened to a lot of high value men during COVID? They lost everything, and women, you know. Many people here in Auckland lost multiple businesses. What, they're not high value anymore? Oh, well, at least they've made it once. I could make it to a billionaire tomorrow. Does that mean right now I'm less valuable than I will be tomorrow? I mean, this is ridiculous. Are we still doing this? And then, you know, these people get these high value people in their life and then they fear that they're going to lose them because they're questioning what their value is. And, you know, I wanted to talk about sex here because what I see happening in the same world as you get, onto the gritty stuff now, is you get these high value people or people trying to be high value, whatever you want to call it, trying to be high value. And, you know, men in particular are trying to please a woman. Men are so wrapped up in orgasm that they're constantly like getting the woman to orgasm. This is like, I find this something that they're constantly tripping over, that they're then going out and researching, they're coming back with techniques, you know. And I'm going to do another post on this, another video, maybe that'll come later in the week, where I talk about like this idea that you're going to go out and become a master of sex by reading a book. You know, I'm going to repeat this then, but the thing I can tell you, all men or women, but particularly to men who are chasing the female orgasm to make sure that they're valuable enough, what I can tell you is this: there is no book that is going to tell you the secret to having sex with every woman by handing you a trick. Women want connection just like you do. And same to women, right? It doesn't matter if you can follow every porn star trick in the book. And I know that this is what's happening out there. I know it. I talk to my friends, I talk to my clients, I talk to all sorts of people. I listen to the stuff that's going on YouTube. The porn obsession out there, this is not sex. I don't want my man to be so insensitive that he doesn't feel anything for hours pounding at me. I'm not so insensitive that I want that either, you know? And I certainly don't want your tricks. I want you to connect with me. So when you approach sex, and I talk very much from a tantric perspective here as someone who's been a tantric practitioner for a long time, when you approach the other, you come to meet them with a level of humility, understanding that you have not met this person before. And when you come to them, there has to be a greeting in the touch, a sensitivity, an awareness, and an openness to be led by each other and to be led by the energy in the room. And this idea that people are getting obsessed with the female orgasm or performing some wonderful sexual trick, I'm like, male or to men or to women or anyone for that matter. I don't want to leave people out. I'm just talking from my world, I guess. It's not satisfying. If you start chasing my orgasm, I feel stressed. Do you know what women don't do well when they're stressed? Yeah, orgasm, right? And it's not as much fun. You want her to relax. You want him to relax. You want them to relax, whoever it is. And you want to meet them. You want to communicate with them. You want to learn from them what works for them. And there's nothing that horrifies me more than the violence people are performing on each other by copying this crap that we see on porn. The few times I've watched porn, I've watched it with aghast, with kind of bizarre fascination. Why do people even find this sexy or attractive? And that is another conversation for another day, and that's might be where I pick up the next video. But if you guys have any comments or want to ask me anything, I really always freestyle on my videos. So by all means, if I need to be questioned, question me. I'll come back and answer probably in another video, or at least in your comments below. There is going to be more. This is a private clip from 2 Cents of Zen. Do tune in to those videos that I will be doing with my partner in crime on 2 Cents of Zen, where we'll be talking more and more in depth about how to integrate holistic living into your life, your relationships, etc. Have a great day. I always forget how to end this. It's been so long. Thanks, stream.